Thank you all for coming and watching this, The Art of Mindful Medicine. This is episode 3 with myself, Dr. Seth Yosin, and my guest, Ilyas Hamid.
Hey guys.
So I'm going to do a quick little intro, and then you guys can, or then I'm going to let Illy talk about himself a little bit too. So Illy has been working in the health field for the last 10 years. He has a bachelor's of dietetics in nutrition and health sciences. He has a master's and doctorate in traditional Chinese medicine, and he's an acupuncture physician. He's also interned in China and at the Olympic training facility for his trainings, which is very renowned. So I'm really happy to have him on here. And Illy, you can talk a little bit about yourself and let some people know who you are.
Okay. I think first thing I love to do whenever I'm with someone is I like to take 3 deep breaths. So
Awesome.
maybe, yeah, we can all kind of connect through our breaths no matter where we're at on the planet. So let's just do 3 really quick, okay?
Sounds good to me. Let's do it.
1, exhale. 2, exhale. 3, exhale slow. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited. So that was probably a good thing to do before we get started. So
Yeah, just ground it in a little bit.
yeah, absolutely. So it's interesting you say that. So that's something you like to start with. I like to start with something in threes as well.
Hmm.
So anytime I do a talk or anything like that, I always like to start with gratitude. So the first thing I would like to do is ask you 3 things you're grateful for today.
Oh man. Today I'm grateful for my best friend that I've known my entire life. Since I used to watch him when he was a baby. 30 years. My best friend
That's
Ken.
awesome.
He's the first one that came to mind. The second thing is that I have healthy food to eat. That's the second thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then the third thing would probably be that I'm physically active and healthy and capable. That's those.
Perfect. That's beautiful.
How about you?
Um, 3 things that I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
So 3 things that I'm grateful for. I always start with my health. I'm very fortunate to be in good health, especially with the state of things, how things are right now. Um, I'm grateful for having a wonderful support system from my family, my good friends, my girlfriend Patty. I'm very grateful for all of these things. Um, and the third thing I'm grateful for is the space that we have right now. I know this time can be very stressful for people, but I really appreciate that time where I can just be in quiet and just kind of observe myself, be a little bit more in nature. So I'm very grateful to have this time and space.
Right. Nice. Yeah.
Um,
I resonate with that.
yeah. um, so tell us a little bit about you, Ailey.
Okay. So to be honest with you, man, I'm a very simple person. I
Hmm.
like I like not having a lot of things. That way, if I want to go travel, I can get up and go. If I want to
Hmm.
move, I can move. Um, I've I've been in the health field for a long time in different ways. I was a personal trainer for the past 10 years,
Hmm.
exercise specialist. I worked as a nutritionist at FIU. I've got a lot of history with nutrition and dietetics and personal training.
Hmm.
And a part of the other part of the health aspect that I bring into my skill set is the Chinese medicine, which is kind of encompasses everything.
Hmm.
Which, after I got into Chinese medicine school, it really expanded my life in knowing myself and healing myself and being able to heal others. And we talk about the shadow work all the time, right? Like
Hmm.
things that we do that nobody knows about. And Chinese medicine just kind of illuminated the shadow for me.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's definitely some stuff I definitely want to talk about. So,
Yeah, it was really amazing. It was it we it's very logical. We talk about these things in school,
hmm
logical, but it's not something that we think about in our daily lives with the kind of conditioning that we have here where we live.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So after that, after going through school and studying in China and living with monks and training kung fu and doing all this stuff, it really it came down to the more simple your life is, the more full it can be.
Mm-hmm.
If we're always seeking out externally for things all the time, instead of knowing ourselves within, we're never going to fully be nourished.
Absolutely.
They have the saying in Chinese medicine. They say, when you live like the rabbit, you move really fast. The rabbit moves really fast,
Mm-hmm.
but the rabbit will also die very fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's better to live like the turtle. Go slow, move slow, and you'll live a longer life.
Methodically. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
come to this place of slowing down and taking everything that I have and just putting it out there for whoever I can help.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. That's awesome. I think that's one of the main reasons we actually wound up connecting, because that's something that we both do. So,
Yeah.
um, so where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Hollywood, Florida.
Okay.
My parents they immigrated here from Guyana in Switzerland,
Okay.
South America. I'm the only person in my family born in America. So my brothers, my sisters, they were all born there. My parents came here. My dad had me when he was like 66, 67 years old. So I was an absolute surprise.
Yeah.
And I'm the last of six in my family, but I'm also the only person who's like an American. So they
Gotcha.
all kind of brought in a lot of their culture with them here.
Mm-hmm.
Person that was, like born here and raised in American culture. So I have this Guyanese home culture.
Mm-hmm.
I went to school to a Lutheran and Catholic and Methodist school with like a lot of Caucasians. And then I grew up in a neighborhood with like a lot of African Americans.
Uh-huh.
So I had this very diverse connection with different cultures in my life.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a pretty big disparity there between like where you were in school and then where you're at home.
Yeah, at
So,
home, yeah, for sure. And then, most people they tend to congregate with their own people, like,
uh-huh.
and
It seems to be not the natural thing that happens. So,
for sure, yeah. And for me, it was almost like this. I didn't know where I belonged, because at home, my parents, my family are Guyanese, but I'm an American, and then I go to school, but I'm not like the kids there, and then I go in my neighborhood and I have all this other stuff going on. So it was like, growing up was in my community was didn't really feel like home always.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, but I mean, that's quite the diversification. It seems like, I'm sure when you're really young, that can get a little confusing too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, I would imagine it might be good to be exposed to that kind of stuff when you're younger rather than trying to adjust to it when you're older. So,
Oh yeah, for sure. I bet. Yeah. I wouldn't. I can't. I don't know, but it was definitely hard growing up. But it was also eye opening because it was like it really got me separated from this idea of like racial discrimination. Where I have
hmm.
lifelong friends that are Chinese and white and black and Guyanese, and my family.
Uh-huh.
So it like really my place where I belong is like the human community. It's
Yeah.
not a race thing.
Yeah. I mean, and it's funny. I just posted about this the other day. I mean, we talk about having different races, but I mean, the human race is one. So I'm totally there with you, my man.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
energetically, man.
yeah, exactly. So is anybody else in your family in medicine, in the medical field at all or anything like that?
Um, I think the closest would probably be my oldest brother. He's not in medicine, but he was very much into sports. He was a wrestling coach in Broward County for 20 plus years, and
Gotcha.
he used to train the Hollywood SWAT team to
Okay.
that and stuff like that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was nice growing up with someone like that. Every day was like a grappling
Yeah.
fight.
He just comes out from behind and just tackles you.
Yeah, and I was always very small, and he was like much bigger. So it was like, all right, I need to learn how to.
Yeah. That's awesome. Um, so you said how many siblings did you have? You said you were the youngest of five or
So So on my mom's, with my mom and my dad, I'm the last of six.
Okay, six. Okay.
But two of my brothers passed away. Um,
Okay.
one died before they came to America, and one died here in America in a motorcycle accident.
Gotcha. I'm
So
sorry
yeah,
to hear that.
that's okay. It's life, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so now I have two brothers and a sister.
Great. And are they still down here, or did they move
Yeah,
elsewhere?
they still live in Hollywood. Yeah,
Great.
everyone
Awesome.
have moved around a little bit, and then they all came back.
Gotcha. Awesome. Um, so what is the most impactful memory you have from your childhood?
Oh man.
Or one of the most? I mean, the most is probably difficult to
No, I
to
know.
pick
I
out.
don't know if it's appropriate to talk about. Um,
Well, I'll leave that to your discretion.
I'm just going to be authentic, you know. Probably my brother's death.
Uh-huh.
It was very, very tragic. It happened to me when I was very young, so it's still very vivid in my head.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember everything so clearly. I remember the day it happened. I remember the day they found out he was in the hospital. I remember driving home and the chaos that was going on in my house and the funeral, everything that happened afterwards. And
Hmm.
that was like the big awakening of life and death and what matters and what doesn't.
I was gonna say that. How did that impact you? Um,
Yeah, you definitely look at life a very different way. You look at what you're caught up in and what others are caught up in and how unimportant it is.
hmm No, that definitely makes sense. Do you think that had any influence on the path that you decided to take into getting into medicine or anything like that?
I think so, yeah, because my father died when I was 19, and he was very old. Um, and my mom, she suffers from diabetes, and she has a thyroid disorder.
Hmm.
She's a breast cancer survivor. She's got high
Wow.
blood pressure. She's a beast, man. So I saw the way she ate, and I saw the way my dad ate, and like there was this like morbid thought behind my mind of like survival, and yeah, health and exercise were always kind of like, all right, if I want to live to be healthy and not die early,
Yeah,
this is the path.
absolutely. That makes sense. And how old were you around then, did you say?
When my father passed,
Yeah.
he passed a week before my birthday.
Okay. You said you were like 19?
Yeah, 19.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So April 13th, 2006.
Gotcha. And in 2006, where were you at in your journey to uh, get
Oh,
in medicine?
I was in my first year of school and in
Oh
college,
wow.
and it happened at the end of my first year.
Okay.
So it was like this big shock, and it caused this turbulence of like, what am I going to do with my life? And
Sure. Wow.
yeah,
I can literally only imagine, man.
yeah, it was something.
Yeah.
It was something. I was a young man then, and still figuring out life. But you trust the path, man. Everything works out the way it's supposed to.
Absolutely.
It all happens for our benefit.
It happens for you, not to you. I agree with that totally.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything before any of these events happened or before you decided to get into medicine that you thought as a young child that you always wanted to be growing up?
Hmm. Oh man. When you're a kid, like your creativity is so
Oh
wide.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, I wanted to be a superhero, a cop, all these things. So I mean, whatever.
yeah. If you ask any of my friends growing up, there were two things that kind of explained me: drawing martial arts characters, like
Hmm.
Dragon Ball Z characters, and fighting. So
Okay.
I love to fight. I love to like be physically like grappling and like boxing. I did a lot of different fighting sports growing up.
Uh-huh. I'm sure your brother influenced that.
Yeah, yeah, and I always wanted to go like live in the mountains somewhere in China and train
Hmm.
Fu at
So
one.
even from when you were little, you wanted to do something in China. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was always like kind of a dream. That and drawing were like the two big things. I
Very
got one
cool.
of them done.
Yeah, right. And you can always draw, so
Yeah,
that's awesome. I mean, I'm sure you can even use drawings and things like that for your patients as well. So,
Yes, it, actually, drawing has helped me in like studying in school. You know, when you have to draw out the biochemical systems of everything.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense. Um, so what did was there anything else that inspired you to get into the medical field?
Um, yeah, for sure. There was a time in the like between 2007 and 2011 where I didn't have health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
The economy crashed,
Mm-hmm.
and you know I was eating. I remember I would take like $5 and go to McDonald's and buy as many 29 cents hamburgers as I could and just like stick them in the freezer. And I was injured. I had a shoulder injury and
Uh-huh.
and I couldn't work out. So like I wasn't getting nutritional sustenance. I was physically injured,
Man.
and my health was going down. And I got sick one time. I got really sick, and I tried to fight it and I tried to beat it at home. And I remember laying in my bed thinking, man, this is how I'm going to die. Like worse. So I like called my mom and I like told her I need you to take me to the hospital. And I like crawled out on the floor. I crawled in the car. She took me to the hospital. They gave me an IV and some Tylenol and told me to go home. They broke the fever and told me,
Okay.
and then they slapped me with a $6,000 check. So, you know, and it didn't even really like fix anything. It didn't do anything. It just like reduced my symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I was like, it was really aggravated that I had to pay that. I could have just, you know, drank some Gatorade or taken an ad, you know.
Yeah.
And and I remember after that, I was like, yeah, man, this isn't really like doing anything for me. And it
Mm-hmm.
kind of opened my eyes up to like the conventional medical system and how flawed it can be in just treating symptoms.
Yeah.
So that like led me on, okay, there's got to be more with food, and like there's the body heals itself, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's how we heal. And if we support our body in the right way to heal itself, we'll be okay.
Yeah, I agree. Totally.
So I want
Um,
to learn.
that's awesome. It's I mean that's a pretty powerful, impactful story. I mean to get sick like that and then go to the hospital and then have you there for what, couple hours?
Yeah, it was a couple hours. You know, my parents, when they came here, in Guyana, the healthcare system was very bad. That's how my one brother died, because like they weren't very good. So
Uh-huh.
my parents came here, you know, we've got this amazing American country with like
Uh-huh.
all this money and all these medications.
Mm-hmm.
So my parents said, okay, if he gets sick, send him to the doctor and give him antibiotics.
Yeah.
So I was very sick growing up. I got sick multiple times a year, and they would send me to the doctor and give me
And
antibiotics.
they just gave you antibiotics. Yeah.
That's it. And I didn't know this back then. And how can my parents have known also? You know,
Uh-huh.
that antibiotics actually kill your immunity, and you never get to develop an adaptive immunity to illness because of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I would get sick, my immune system would respond, and then I would kill my entire immune system, and then I would get sick again, and then it would be stronger than before, and this went on for 20 plus years.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I've heard and read a lot of stories about it. I mean, I can only imagine what it's actually like going through it. I mean, I took antibiotics as a kid, but thankfully, I didn't get sick that much, which was great. Um, so I just want to pause real quick and thank everybody for. I know a lot of people were saying hi down below. I appreciate you guys all being here. Um, and feel free if you have any questions, just ask them, and I'll try and write them down. We'll try and work them in as we're talking. So.
Yeah, thanks
Um,
everybody for for coming in and listening. Me and Seth, we were discussing how important our. We had a discussion the other night where we thought, you know, this is something that people need to hear. And right
mhm.
now, what we're doing is we're kind of going over the shallow stuff, but once we get into like the deeper discussion, it'll be good.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is great too. But I mean, I know what you mean. I think once we get into the deeper workings of what you do, people are going to find it very, very interesting. So, um, and for those that, like I said, that are listening, this is part one. So, as Illy said when we were talking the other night, we decided that I think having two parts to this conversation is going to be best because this is going to get pretty in depth in both episodes, and I just don't want to have everybody try and sit here for a 2 hour thing. I'd rather split it up into 2 weeks, and it just makes a little bit more sense. So we're going to keep going. So now I understand, or we all understand how you got into medicine in the first place, but what inspired you to seek out Chinese medicine?
Yeah, I'll tell you. So at FIU, I was the 2013 personal trainer of the year. I'm just gonna like toot my own horn there.
Okay, go ahead.
I was also working as a nutritionist, and I had a client there. He was Chinese, he's from China, and he saw like anytime my knee would flare up because it never fully healed. Every time it would flare up, I would walk with a limp. I could barely walk. It was so painful. And he came to me one day and he's like, "Illy, I have Chinese medicine for you. You just spray it on your knee. You'd be
I have Chinese medicine for you. That's
yeah."
great.
It was like I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." I tried everything, man. I tried PT. I got X-rays done, medications, like nothing. Nothing was actually helping. And I sprayed this spray on my knee, and granted, this pain was from 2007 to about 2012, 2013.
Hmm.
I sprayed this spray on my knee and the pain went away immediately.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe it. I was like in disbelief.
And this wasn't like icy hot there.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't icy hot. It was Chinese medicine is based on all herbs. So
Okay.
it was an herbal formula that they made into an aerosol spray.
Hmm.
And you spray it on. It's called Yunnan Baiyao. And
Very interesting.
it was, oh my gosh. And that just like opened up my world to like, oh my God, there's like so much more.
Uh-huh.
And then I had patients then, I had clients back then that I couldn't do so many exercises with them because they had knee injuries and back injuries and,
Of course, yeah.
you know. So I thought to myself, you know what, I'll just learn acupuncture and like treat the pain
Hmm.
and get rid of that and learn the herbs for like whatever else. So I went to Chinese medicine school, but I was so narrow-minded. I had no idea. It was like a small window that
Oh
opened
yeah,
the world.
I'm sure. I'm sure. And like I said, in part two, we're definitely going to get into all those different types of things and what you do, how you use them, how they're formulated, all these different types of things. So I'm really excited about that. But so that was one of the things that inspired you to get into Chinese medicine. Was there that was what opened the door for you? But I mean, what actually caused you to walk through?
Actually, after I graduated with my bachelor's, I thought I'm so much ready for so much more. Like
Hmm.
that was so easy. I'm ready to learn and digest more and like be able to, because there are so many people who have no idea how beneficial Chinese medicine is, and
Hmm.
that there are other options out there that are actually fixing illnesses.
Awesome.
And I thought to myself, if I could learn the things that are healing me, then I can give them to everyone else as well. And that was just like my dharma, right? Like,
Absolutely, that's beautiful. Um, so, what was the journey like getting into Chinese medicine? What did you experience? I mean, did you study it here first? Did you move? How was that?
so when you first get into Chinese medicine school, it's this going from the left brain to the right brain.
For sure.
It's in Western culture we think about everything very left brain, very scientific method, very it has to be done through the research. The research has to explain everything. Um, and when you hear the Chinese medicine theory, it's like its own science, but from the right brain, where it's
Hmm.
this energetic, esoteric, creative sense to it that you don't want to believe. Like a lot of people don't want to believe it's real,
Yeah.
and you have to like kind of like shift your brain to like start thinking in this way. So after I got done with the first year of school, I thought, man, this is bullshit. Like I don't believe this.
Uh-huh.
Then I got into clinicals the second year, and it blew my mind. People with severe cancer feeling better, people with back pain getting 30 years of back pain,
Wow.
taking herbal formulas, and people their blood work is getting better from the herbal formulas.
Hmm.
And I saw it working, so I thought, okay, all right, I believe it now.
Hmm.
And then I went to China in my second year of school. That's when we interned with the monks and learned medicine from the monks, the most traditional sense.
Uh-huh.
And when you live the lifestyle of Chinese medicine, you really get to experience the magic and like the fullness of your health, your energy, your mental clarity, your calmness, your blood work, your strength, you know, your endurance. Everything is just, when you live the life, gets better.
Mm-hmm.
So then after that, you know, it was like, okay, I learned it, I applied it, I'm seeing how it's helping people. Let's go deeper. Let's see what
Mm-hmm.
I can get. So I went again the third year after school, and then I went again a year after that in China. Second year, first year, second year, third year, and then I got my doctorate degree. I just finished that in September, and here I am now.
Awesome. Awesome. So you were in China. Well, how long were you in China? It was 3 years, but how long were you actually there?
So it was only for the summer. So
Okay.
after school, you'd go for the summer and then come back, go to school.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, um, I was going to ask you some of the things that motivated you throughout that process, but I can only imagine that. I mean, there's one thing in reading it and seeing it, like a videos of it, something like that. But when you actually go there and you experience it, and like you said, you can see people's blood work changing, you can see people getting better from certain cancers and things like that. I mean, that had to be. I can only imagine that's got to be extremely motivating.
Oh yeah. It substantiates everything. You know, everything that you questioned. There's no denying it anymore. It's
Hmm.
right in front of you, following
Yeah.
this theory. You
Yeah.
know. Um, Debbie, I'm happy to hear that. Eastern medicine made amazing changes for me: balance, pain reduction, energy.
Yep.
That's awesome. See, it's that easy. But I'll tell
Hmm.
you, those things that you're talking about, those are the easy things to treat.
Yeah.
See, you can actually, like, those are like the surface level things. You can go deeper and you can start treating like severe illnesses. So
Hmm.
there are three levels of healing in Chinese medicine. On the bottom level, it's considered the lowest level, and this is where we treat disease. On the second level, this is where we prevent disease. And on the third level, this is where we prolong life. And this is kind of like the ultimate goal of Chinese medicine, is to like keep you rid of disease, but also make sure that you live with more longevity and more fullness.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Which to me, that I mean, that just sounds like what medicine is supposed to be. I mean, that's what real medicine is. So, um, I remember we talked about that the other night. So that makes total sense to me. Did you have any challenges or anything while you were in school that that stick out to you?
Yeah. It was, you know, the thing is Chinese medicine is so grandiose.
Hmm.
You know, it's thousands of years refined.
Hmm.
Western medicine is only a couple hundred of years refined.
Hmm.
So it's that much more knowledge. And I heard this quote in China where they said, the when you get out of school, you'll only know about 6% of Chinese medicine.
Hmm.
You'll practice for about 20 years and you might know 15% of Chinese medicine. And the best doctors that you know, they might know 25% of Chinese medicine. And the greatest doctors that ever existed know maybe 50% of Chinese medicine.
Hmm.
So it was like coming out of this, oh, I have to know everything.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it was really like breaking the habit of knowing everything, because it's so much in such a small amount of time. That
Hmm.
was probably the most challenging part.
I can imagine because like you said, there's just so much more information and things are constantly evolving and changing.
Yeah, yeah.
Applies. So tell me a little bit more about what it was like being with the monks,
Oh man,
because that's probably got to be an amazing experience. I mean, very unique.
and these people, you know, they just really care about um, things that truly matter, like genuine connection with people, enjoying life, like enjoying things that really like make you feel good.
Hmm.
And if it's not something that makes you feel good, it, you know, they really don't have any much time for it. And they walk around, you'll see this like nice old monk with his bald head, and he's got his robe on, and you know he smiles, and everyone bows to you. But like, you know, these are Shaolin monks. These are like one of the most dangerous people on the planet. They're training, they're physical training. Like they train all day long, kung fu and like
Hmm.
weapons training to make their body strong. So they walk around with like this kindness, but they will mess you up, man. You don't want to mess with the Shaolin monk, you know?
Right? Did you get to participate in any of the trainings that they do or anything like
Oh
that?
yeah, yeah. That's
Oh, that's
originally
awesome.
why people go to Shaolin is to train kung fu. Um,
Wow.
so
Okay.
that was the program I was in, but they made a special program for us where some of the doctors would actually hold classes for us.
Oh, wow.
We would wake up at 5:30 in the morning. We'd meditate for 20 minutes, do qigong, do tai chi, have breakfast, which is like a bowl of soup. You know, it's all vegetarian, and then do morning training, and then have lunch, and then take a nap, and then do afternoon training, and then take a break, and then do evening training, and then have dinner, and then sometimes go do training in the evening. So it'd be kung fu, sparring, weapons, the inner energetics, power training, all kinds of stuff every day.
And you also had the medical side of it mixed in too.
Yeah, so in between the day when we would have that break, we would have a class on some form of Chinese medicine, whether it's Tuina massage or acupuncture or just general theory or feng shui or
Uh-huh.
like that. So
Very cool.
yeah, it was very dense.
Very, very cool. Um, and I can imagine how the energy work that they do there, how that impacted the medical side of things.
It was everything, you know. It was. They said. I remember one big takeaway that I took from the monks was they said, um, if you're going to be working with patients, when you put your hands on them, when you take the needle and you put the needle in the person,
Mm-hmm.
you're taking your energy, and that your energy is going through that needle, and they can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so your energy needs to be clean. But
That makes
also,
sense.
yeah, but also when you connect like that, you're also taking their energy too.
Uh-huh.
So it's really important that every day you do qigong to clear yourself of that energy, because that energy in Chinese medicine, it can stagnate. It can become a blood stagnation or become a phlegm accumulation,
Uh-huh.
cancer or kidney disease or something like that. So it's really important to like clear yourself every day for that reason.
And you guys use that via Qigong.
Qigong. They said Ba
Very-
Duan Jin every day.
Gotcha. And is this something you took with you that you still do regularly?
I do it. I'd say I do it every morning, but realistically, I probably do it 6 days a week.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll take a week off or two, and then I'll get back.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That makes sense. Um, I can only imagine. I mean, we don't have, again, we'll make more time for it, but I want to hear so much more about those experiences because that sounds awesome.
Oh man, I love
Uh,
it. I can't wait to go back. I can't wait till the quarantine is over so I can go train.
oh, that's amazing. So what you're doing now here with patients, what do you like most about what you're doing?
Oh wow, that's a big question, man. There's a part of me, as a doctor, as any practitioner, when you apply yourself and you make a person feel better, that's
Hmm.
always like the holy grail, right? Like
Yeah.
when they come in walking one way and they walk out with a big smile on their face and energetic, and and they get rid of whatever illness that they're dealing with, that's
Hmm.
always so motivational. But
Absolutely.
another big part that I'm really loving today is that people are starting to trust it more because they're starting to see the results. Um,
Hmm.
you know, Chinese medicine is like a lineage of doctors passed down through generations and generations. They just passed this knowledge down, and they did all this work for thousands of years and just passed it down.
Hmm.
We could have it today. And it's not very respected because it's not understood. But when a person can experience it and finally understand, that feels good. It opens them up to whatever they've been lacking.
Hmm. That makes total sense. Um, and with the people that you're seeing now, what do you find some of the most common issues are that are coming in?
Okay, so I'll tell you, one thing that you will almost always see is low back pain. Almost
Hmm.
all the time. It's what Chinese medicine is known for. Is acupuncture is known for treating low back pain. Even the
Hmm.
American Medical Association back in 2017 or 18, they approved it as a first line therapy for back pain.
Okay.
And that's because it's got thousands and thousands of research articles to support it. But that is so easy to treat, back pain. Um,
Gotcha.
um, what I see regularly is a lot of emotional mental distress.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the biggest thing aside from back pain. Anxiety, depression, trauma, PTSD.
Unfortunately, I understand with the how our kind of society is perpetuated and running. So everybody's always go go go. So I mean, it's a very high stress environment. So
Yeah, exactly. That's something that I travel a lot, and that's something that I'm noticing a lot more with our country. Is there's this we're caught in this rat race here, man. Like everyone's just going all the time. I have
hmm
money, I have to pay the bills, I have to put food on the table for my kids, and it's not always easy.
yeah.
So there's this innate anxiety in everyone, and that anxiety stimulates cortisol.
hmm
It stresses you out, which can cause adrenal fatigue, which
hmm
affects your hormones, which
hmm
will affect your thyroid, which is the
Absolutely.
important most one of the most important organs for maintaining your immunity.
hmm Absolutely. Um, so that I mean that kind of that brings me into my next question. So what do you um, what have you experienced that the different ailments are between Western people versus Eastern people?
Different ailments. What do you mean by that?
So some of the things that you see that you would see here versus when you were in China, a lot of the things that you were seeing, people are how what are the differences in what people are sick with here, there, if there are any?
Big time.
I would imagine, yeah.
Big time. So let me grab my charger really quickly.
Okay.
So
So I appreciate everybody being in here and listening to the talk. I've written down some of your guys' questions, so um, we will get to them. If not in this episode, we'll get to them in part two next week. But I will try and get it all in today. So.
yeah. Okay. So probably, in Chinese medicine, we have the energetic channels, and they
Mm-hmm.
all come from our organs. We have our heart organ, we have the stomach organ, we have those channels. And in Chinese medicine, they say that the heart is the emperor fire. And
Mm-hmm.
never treat the heart.
Okay.
The heart is usually related to like emotional distress, psychological issues.
Mm-hmm.
And they say you never treat the heart.
Hmm.
In China, I didn't really see people with emotional mental distress. Everyone was just very calm all the time. And they had more different kinds of like skin disorders and gastrointestinal disorders.
Mm-hmm.
Here in America, like the root of the illness here is emotional mental anxiety disorders, depression, things like
Gotcha.
that. Those were the polar opposites for me.
So it's really so it seems what I'm gathering just from that is that there or in China there the factors that influence the people's health is more their external environment, and here the main factor is the internal.
I don't want to like black and white it
Oh
like
yeah, of course.
because I've only seen so much.
Uh-huh.
Um, but from what I have seen, it was definitely the way they were treating their physical health, like what they were eating, how they were eating, that was
Mm-hmm.
showing up through gastrointestinal disorders and skin disorders. Um, Here, it's what we ingest mentally.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what we ingest into our mouth. It's what we ingest into our mind.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can imagine, and I'm sure you can attest to this, that I mean, studies have been done all over the world, and obviously, what we eat nutrition-wise is a huge impact to our overall health. But I think from nutrition, the amount of activity, the work we do, our lifestyle, all of those different factors really make a big difference in our overall health. So.
Yeah, something I wanted to discuss is like when we talk about like Western medicine. When we talk about Western medicine, people only mostly think about the conventional medicine model,
Mm-hmm.
which is just your general uh, food pyramid. Go to the MD, your general practitioner, medications, things like that. Take
Mm-hmm.
your immunizations. But there's a whole other aspect of Western medicine, and that's the holistic alternative approach. And that word holistic is so skewed. It's so
Mm-hmm.
looked at improperly. It doesn't mean like holy, like like this light coming down. it literally means the word whole, your body as a whole, how your mind affects your heart, how your heart affects your kidneys, how your
Mm-hmm.
affects everything, and how you have to look at how everything is being approached as a system, and how all those systems are affecting different systems. You know, so like
Mm-hmm.
that's the big difference between a person getting better and staying better, or
Mm-hmm.
a person getting better and not staying better.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, that's true. Because it's one thing to be healthy or get healthy, but then staying healthy. And that's a big thing. I mean, I know diets are a big thing here in the U.S. and it's like people go on a diet and then they'll lose weight, and then when they've done losing the weight, they just kind of go back to how they were before.
Yeah,
And it needs to be a lifestyle change, something that's sustainable.
that's really it. That's really like the lifestyle change, and what that comes down to is our cultural conditioning. What we
Mm-hmm.
believe is important, what we hold on to is important for our survival.
Mm-hmm.
I have many friends that like to go and drink a lot of alcohol all the time. Like
Mm-hmm.
even like during this like coronavirus, I see them on like Instagram and Snapchat and all this, just partying all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that makes them happy, but at the same time, like, is it serving them? It's they're weakening their immune system.
So it's good that you brought that up. So well, obviously the partying and staying out and doing other things. I mean that I mean I think most people know that's pretty detrimental to our to our overall health. But when it comes to drinking alcohol, obviously in somewhat moderation, but because some people use that for to relax.
Mm-hmm.
So what would your opinion be on whether even having that glass of wine or that beer or one drink or whatever a night? I mean, how do you think that impacts their overall health in a situation like we're in?
So that's the thing, right? Is like, are we our egos, right? I don't believe that the ego is something that we're supposed to get rid of. It's supposed to. Our ego is. Do we have a healthy ego or do we have a non-healthy ego? A
Hmm.
healthy ego would say, okay, I'm healthy, I'm physically healthy. I can enjoy that glass of wine. It's not going to affect me. Or I can take a shot or I might drink a couple beers, no big deal. But the non-healthy ego is saying, I want to party and I'm going to go
Hmm.
12 beers and I'm going to go smoke this and do that and, do that every night and just
Hmm.
binge drink, you know? And what I'm seeing most of the time are people are taking the non-healthy approach because
Hmm.
they're not willing to see what lies behind those habits, beyond those
Hmm.
habits. Why are we choosing to do that to ourselves instead of doing something better for ourselves?
Hmm. So it's the root cause, the intention behind the action that is really where it's coming from.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Makes perfect sense to me.
It's
Thank
very
you for that.
logical, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it might be logical for us on the outside because we don't necessarily live like that. But some people, I mean, that's part of their lifestyle. So,
Yeah,
um,
and I can't say that. I can't say anything to them because now I'm like, I'm targeting a part of who they survive, a part of who they are, and I can't
mhm,
say that to them. I have to just, be ready for whenever a person's ready to seek a different way, a different paradigm of looking at
mhm.
themselves and life and health.
Yeah, I think if it comes up naturally, you can make recommendations or to speak from your own experience. But I mean, to
Yeah.
push somebody to a point to where they're not ready to go is just, I think it's going to go more in the opposite direction than what you intend.
Oh
So,
yeah, ruin friendships, all kinds of stuff like that.
absolutely. So I'm gonna take a little bit of a turn and start asking you a couple questions about social media. So, what is your feeling about social media being a good or not so good platform to promote health, wellness, and mindfulness?
Yeah, I think it comes back to that conversation between healthy ego and non-healthy ego.
Hmm.
I think if we can differentiate between the two and ourselves is like, am I on Instagram to look at women and promote my what I do every day, and am I seeking this narcissistic lifestyle that is completely tied into social media?
Hmm.
Um, or am I doing social media because it's a way that I can reach so many people and expand awareness and educate and, possibly help a person or two,
Hmm.
you know? And I think the latter is more important for me. You know,
Hmm.
everyone's in their process, right? And like their self-discovery. So like those
Exactly.
people who are doing it for narcissistic purposes, that's something that they have to do for them to learn from, so that they can evolve and like learn and be something better.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
God knows
Good.
I did it. You know,
I'm right there with you, man.
yeah.
Um, so I notice a lot more healthcare practitioners are online more right now. So what has your specific experience been since being more active on social media?
Oh man, I tell you, I think it for me, it's actually been a lot less stressful doing telemedicine. Yeah, I can order supplements and have them sent directly to my patient's doors. I can do a lot of mental health counseling and
Hmm.
therapy over FaceTime and Zoom.
Hmm.
The only thing that I can't do is the actual needles, right? Because the needles make it.
Of course.
But aside from that, I think the telemedicine stuff makes everything a lot more efficient for everyone. It saves time, it saves energy, it saves money. It's just the physical aspect of it doesn't exist anymore. So it's going to serve in some ways, and it's not going to serve in other ways.
Absolutely. Makes sense. Um, so I'm going to take another shift because we're coming up on our time here pretty soon. So I want to talk a little bit about mindfulness. And how do you incorporate mindfulness into your daily life?
I think every single moment is a moment of mindfulness for me. Sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming because I stop thinking so much. But I think meditation and qigong and and learning, like when I make decisions, I always ask myself two questions before I make a decision. If it's going to be a big decision,
Hmm.
is it appropriate? Is it life supporting?
Hmm.
And that's meditation. Those two questions, just eating right and exercise are how I stay mindful.
Awesome. I'm right there with you. So
Yeah, yeah, that's
mine is the qigong. I haven't done that quite yet. So maybe once the quarantine's lifted and stuff, I'll get some lessons from you.
yeah.
Um, so outside of your personal practice, what's been your experience with, and have you seen mindfulness being practiced by other health and wellness professionals?
Yeah, it's funny. It's so interesting. Like in the hospitals, you're now starting to see Reiki practitioners go
Hmm.
and do treatments on nurses that are like so stressed out,
Hmm.
touching acupuncture points to calm them. So that's been interesting. And now
Hmm.
yoga, hey Patty, Patty, like for example, like
Yeah,
yoga's starting to be incorporated more for this mental emotional distress that people are having. Like
absolutely.
I'm definitely seeing how more people are seeing that there's another aspect that is beneficial to us through Reiki healing, through touch, through yoga,
Hmm.
meditation if people can get into it. But
Hmm.
those are the things that I'm seeing the most.
Absolutely. Yoga, that's right,
Yeah,
Patty.
yeah, yeah.
um, so what are some of the things that you do in your practice to incorporate mindfulness?
Um, well, in my practice, it's mostly you're treating like kind of disease all day long. So,
Hmm.
um, if it's a mental emotional thing, then I will do some breathing techniques, allow them
Hmm.
to connect with their body, start to feel where they're feeling pressure, where they're feeling heart palpitations, where they're feeling pressure in their head, and just be with the feeling for a moment. And
Hmm.
because those feelings, those are all our traumas and everything, just being
Hmm.
stored inside of us, and
Absolutely.
and we need to give them attention if we're ever going to let them go,
Hmm.
not store them and let them fester inside of us
Absolutely.
deeper.
Because they manifest one way or another.
And they always manifest, right?
Yeah.
And you can ask anybody that.
Absolutely. Um, so what are some of the greatest benefits that you've experienced or just witnessed from mindful practices in medicine?
Oh man, I just had a recent one. This was really cool. I had a girl who she's got some kind of trauma, and
Hmm.
she was breaking out in hives like all over her body. This was recent, but they're after hundreds and thousands of patients, you can't remember everything.
Of
So
course, yeah.
that's at the top of my head. But she had these hives for weeks. They were really bad. Like, I could show you pictures, and we did just basically mental emotional health counseling with
Mm-hmm.
acupuncture needles. And during the mental emotional health counseling, just allowed her to connect with her body through breathing. And the next morning, the hives are like 95% gone.
Wow.
And they came back, but they didn't. They maybe got like 50% to where they were before. But
Uh-huh.
second treatment, they were gone.
Wow. Wow. So just
Yeah,
through breathing, pretty much.
breathing and like really, not really the breathing, but really connecting with like your thoughts and your unconscious,
Okay.
subconscious thoughts, and
Uh-huh.
seeing what's there causing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
So,
a lot of her anxiety was coming from uh, relationships and thoughts and connections, attachments to old ideas
uh-huh.
are showing up in her work life that are just stressing her out.
That makes sense. Yeah. Connecting with yourself, in whichever way you can. I mean, that's definitely a healing modality for sure. I've definitely found that in yoga. So,
Yeah, exactly. There's many paths.
yeah.
Braverman, dude.
Yeah.
Get this guy a Mr. Miyagi bandana.
Yeah, that's my best friend Hal. We'll talk about him too, because there's a story behind the Mr. Miyagi bandana. Um, um, so what's one thing you'd recommend someone start doing right now to incorporate mindfulness in their life?
Man, you try to tell a person to meditate,
Hmm.
but it's so hard. They say, I can't stop my thoughts. I can't calm down. And I think people have this misconception that you're supposed to stop your thoughts and calm down.
Exactly.
But it's not that. It's actually like giving your thoughts
The opposite of
yeah,
that.
giving them the space they need to come up. So I would say start out with just 3 minutes of meditation a day. Just close
Hmm.
your eyes, sit in one spot, just 3 minutes,
Yeah,
and let whatever happens. Whatever thoughts come up, just let them come up.
that's exactly what I tell people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, maybe after 5 or 6 days, you can add to 4 minutes.
Hmm.
Or a week, you can add to 5 minutes. And it actually gets easier and easier to just calm and relax the mind after
Hmm.
after you do many times. You might find that by the fourth or fifth day, you can do 10 minutes of meditation easy.
Great. No, that's exactly how I tell people. I mean, it's not just about stopping your thoughts. It's accepting whatever thoughts come in and just sitting with it and letting it go.
That's it.
There's no magic to it. I mean, that is the magic. Just allowing yourself to be there, not react, not overthink or get all crazy about it. Just to sit there, focus on your breath, and just see what comes in.
Yes, it's like we'll never stop the mental chatter. If you can do that, show me the way. If you can stop your mental chatter, show me the way because I've been trying
Yeah,
to. And all those monks living in the mountains have been trying to do that too.
yeah,
But
exactly.
what we can do is when we start to notice that we're mentally chattering, we'll say,
Hmm.
"Oh, I'm mentally chattering. Now I'm able to see myself. Now
Exactly,
I don't have to think about that anymore."
exactly, exactly. Um, So this for this session, I know some people just joined in. Like I said, this is going to be part one of this talk because we're going to end in just a few minutes, and then obviously next week will be part two. So my last question for today: what's the greatest difference you've noticed between how mindfulness is practiced in Western culture versus Eastern culture?
Eastern culture is where it comes from.
Mm-hmm.
It's a part of their cultural conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fully ingrained from generation to generation to generation.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would say in Western culture, we think about like what helped like establish who we are. Um,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that's I'll let whoever heard that can connect to it in their own way.
Mm-hmm.
But in Eastern culture, they it's just mindfulness is something that helped them to cultivate into their culture.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's as much as we have here. If we have that much cultivation and mindfulness in our growth in our Western society, and I think that's the big difference is
Mm-hmm.
the cultural conditioning.
Gotcha. Um, All right, so we are gonna finish up. I saved these questions that we had for next time. So for everybody, like I said, that just joined in, Illy is a good friend of mine, and he has his doctorate in traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture. So next week we're going to really dive into more of Chinese medicine and acupuncture, how it's applied, and really what his practice is about. And I think it's going to be really, really, actually, I know it's going to be really beneficial for everybody to hear this. So definitely tune in again next week. Really appreciate you guys all for coming. Illy, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And we'll obviously pick up again on this next week. And
Yeah.
everybody,
Thank you, Seth, man. Thanks for
absolutely.
creating the platform, creating the space for like people to come in and like learn more because we can't do better if we don't know better, you know? So
Exactly.
thanks for
Exactly.
creating that and everyone who listened. I hope that this was helpful in some kind of way and if you need any advice or anything, you can just follow me and message me. I stay in direct contact with all of my patients all the time. So
Absolutely. Let them know what your handle is and everything, because I don't know if they can see it on there.
yeah,
Um,
my handle is I balance us, spelt exactly how it is, and yeah, just message me if you have any questions. And I think next week we're gonna have good
we
health
are.
next
Yeah.
week.
Next week's going to be great. And for anybody that is interested in how Eastern medicine really works, definitely come back. I'll be setting up reminders, um, and we'll go from there. Anyways, like I said, really appreciate everybody coming out here. Ilya, again, thank you very much. Everybody, stay awesome, stay mindful. All right.
Thanks, Seth. Bye bye, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye bye, guys.